Welcome everybody to the very first episode of the Stepback podcast. Today we're gonna be talking about the NBA All-Star Game and our votes. The votes just came out recently, so let's get into it. Aiden, start us off.
Yep. So, like Sam said, we're going to be talking about the All Star game. About a week ago, the NBA released their first rankings of the All Star game. And so, we're just going to be talking about our rankings. We want to talk about also the fact that the All Star game, there's a lot of questions in the air, so it may not happen. But at the end of the day, they're still going to award players with the All Star votes. We just may not have a game. But yeah, we're going to kick it right off, and we'll get Micah start out with his Eastern Conference captain.
All right. So based on the first round of voting, I think it's pretty apparent that Kevin Durant's going to win that spot. His stats speak for himself. He averages like almost 31 points a game, 7.5 boards, and 5.2 assists. Personally, if it was me, I would like to see Giannis be the MVP again. I feel like he's a fan favorite. But at the end of the day, I think Durant's going to take that spot.
So yeah, I also have Kevin Durant. However, I have him in my starting lineup, not as my captain. I'm assuming Sam, you have Kevin Durant. Do you have him as your captain, or is he just a starter?
He's my captain, bro. So I got him up there. He's the leader
So
of the
the reason
East.
that I don't have Kevin Durant as a captain is just for me. Currently, the record that they are sitting at, I believe they are second in the Eastern Conference. Actually, right now they're third with a record of 14-11. And currently, as we are recording this, they are losing to the Pistons. So they'll fall to 14-12. But for me, my captain for the Eastern Conference is going to be Joel Embiid. He's led the 76ers to a 17-7 record. And the only games that they've lost, I believe they've won every single game that they've had their starting five intact. So COVID's kind of the only reason why they've fallen. And if I just read off his points per game in the last 6 games, 45, 42, 38, 33, 28, 37, and then 3 more 30-point games prior to that. I just think that speaks for itself. He's been the dominant big man that we haven't seen in the NBA in the last couple of years. Joel Embiid's got to be starting for me as the captain.
Yeah, I feel like he's a little underappreciated, but I just had to go with Kevin Durant. You know, he's been leading the Nets in Brooklyn. So, starting five for the East. Who you guys got?
Well, I think without question, I feel like all of our front court would include Giannis, Embiid, and KD. Do we all have the same for that front court?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, obviously the stats speak for themselves in those. So then, how about we talk about guards then? Who do you guys have for your guards?
I got Bradley Beal. He's literally carrying the Wizards right now. He's averaging 33, 4 and 5. Is it 5 and 4? And he's a locked in all-star clearly.
Yeah. I also have Bradley Beal in my backcourt. Last year, he averaged 30 points per game and somehow did not even make the All-Star game. So I think Bradley Beal took that personally. And now this year, he's averaging 34 points per game, kind of saying, all right, well, if 30 wasn't good enough, then I'll add 34 and see if that's good enough. It's definitely been good enough for me. 34 points per game is absolutely ridiculous. Even with the team that hasn't been great so far, teams have been able to key in on Bradley Beal, especially when Westbrook being out, and yet he's still putting up ridiculous numbers. So he is my backcourt. And then the other player that I have in the backcourt is Kyrie Irving of the Brooklyn Nets. A lot of people may have his counterpart, James Harden, on the other side of the backcourt ahead of him. However, for me, I would put Kyrie Irving in there just because James Harden has kind of taken a back seat in the third spot for the Brooklyn Nets ever since he came over, and he's just trying to work himself into it when Kyrie's really been that second-hand man next to KD. He's averaging 28 points per game. He's putting up some good assist numbers the last couple games. I got Kyrie Irving starting at my point guard spot for the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, my other guard is also Kyrie Irving. Literally just reiterate what Aiden just said. I mean, it's kind of like no question that he's going to be an all-star. Some people might not have him as a starter, but I definitely put him as my starter for the East.
Yeah, I was going to say he's not my starter. I put it more for like a fan reason. I just don't appreciate his attitude. I'm not a huge fan of Harden either. I just feel like between the 24 points a game and the 11 assists a game that Harden has, and the fact that he hasn't been away for tons of personal reasons and attitude issues, I had James Harden taking that spot. But Irving's also a solid choice. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the nod over Harden. But as a
So
fan, my vote would be Harden.
okay. Well,
All right. So before we move on to the reverse, we'll just kind of recap. All of us have Kevin Durant, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid, Bradley Beal. Me and Sam have Kyrie Irving and then James Harden. So pretty similar list except for that one guard spot.
Yeah.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. Sounds good. So for the reserves in the East, what, 7 of them, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. So I had Harden not as a starter like Micah, but he's still in the East All Stars as one of my reserve players. And he's 24, 6 and 11. I mean, he still qualifies for an All Star. I don't think he's a starter.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
I believe he's leading the league in assists right now too. So that's pretty impressive. James Harden's the type of guy that whatever system, like people can hate on him, but at the end of the day, James Harden does whatever the team needs him to win the game. If he's with a bunch of trash players like he was in Houston for a couple of years, he can take every single shot and help them win. But in this situation, if they need him to be a facilitator and let Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant score the ball, then he's going to do that. So I think he gets a little bit of hate for his attitude, but at the end of the day, when he steps on the basketball court, he does everything it takes and he accepts the role that his team needs to win the game. So yeah, he's definitely all-star for me. The next guy I'm going to talk about will be Jaylen Brown of the Boston Celtics. He is a guy that's been a good scorer, but mainly focuses on his defense. But this year with Jason Tatum missing a little bit of time with the Celtics, he's really stepped into being an offensive weapon from all spots on the floor. I believe he's averaging either 26 or 27 points per game, looking really good, efficient, and helping lead the Celtics to a good record. So he's on my all-star team, first-time all-star for him.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
I also had him as an
go
All
for it.
Star. Go ahead, Micah. What would you say?
No, I was gonna say I have his counterpart, Jason Tatum. I don't know. I feel like he's gonna get the nod just because of his popularity. But I mean, as we talked about, the reserves aren't in because of popularity. The coach gets to put those guys in. I mean, I guess it's hard. Like, I guess what I would ask you guys is like, what to you is the sell of Jaylen Brown versus a Jason Tatum? Because their numbers are similar. They're putting up very similar numbers. I mean, Tatum's averaging 27, 7, and 4. So
Yeah.
he's definitely a presence that is felt on the team, and he's a leader. The question would be, I don't know, like, well, do you
Jaylen
guys
Brown's
have Tatum
become.
as a reserve?
I don't know if I should have had 2 players on the same team. That's probably just
Yeah.
probably not going to happen. But I did put Tatum in there just because it's Tatum. I feel like he's going to get voted in by the coaches. But I feel like Jaylen Brown is more. He's become more of a leader on the team, and they've relied him to both score and play defense. And has been Marcus Smart been out, right, for a bit,
Yeah,
right?
Marcus Smart's been out a little bit, but Jason Tatum's missed quite a few games at the beginning of the season. That's why I have
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown in.
So yeah, like I mean, if Marcus Smart's playing like he's like a super good defender. Jaylen Brown's like helping with the defense and picking up the scoring on the offense as well.
Yeah. And I didn't choose Jaylen Brown over Jason Tatum. I did give them 2 all-stars. Jason Tatum is almost a lock as long as he's playing well, and he has been playing well. And as a top team in the East, I think that it's okay for them to have two all-stars. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So okay, I got Domantas Sabonis. Is that it? Right?
Yeah.
I forget how to pronounce his name.
Yep.
Sabonis. He's like, man, the Pacers though. Like, talk about the Pacers right now.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the Pacers are one of those teams they're always a solid team, but they can never really get it done in the playoffs. They're really well coached. They play a great system, but I find with the Pacers, they're always suffering with an injury. There's always someone on their team. Last year, it was Jeremy Lamb. This year, they've had some injury to Warren and Karis LeVert. But Sabonis and with the help of Malcolm Brogdon have really helped carry this team. Continued. They're in a good spot in the standings right now. They're sitting in the 5 seed. Domantas Sabonis is playing super well. So
yeah, they're at 500 right now.
Yep.
So okay, so we got 3 of them. Michael, what was your other? Do you have Sabonis in there?
I did not. He did not make the list. I mean, I feel like he deserves to be on that list. Having said that, I'm just not. I don't know. I guess the Pacers get looked over as a team in general. I mean, if I'm being completely honest, I don't even give them the time of day. which I should. I mean, they're fifth in the Eastern Conference, although it's surprising. The fact that they're fifth and they're only at 500, that kind of shocks me.
Yeah.
So he didn't get the nod. I guess the guy who I gave the nod over him was Zach LaVine. He's a leader on the Bulls. Again, it's not like the Bulls are doing much better. They're 11th at 9-14. But I feel like he's like a solid leader on that team with his 26 points game, 5 boards, and 5 assists. I unquestionably had him as a reserve. But yeah, Sabonis did not make my cut.
Yeah, I think he's one of the players that's pretty easy to forget. Like Indiana itself is just an easy team to forget. I personally think Sabonis is one of the more slept on players in the league. But yeah, it makes sense. I think a lot of guys he's someone that they could forget. But I had him in, but I also did have Zach LaVine in. I think people are too concerned about guys that are on bad teams putting up points. Like Bradley Beal last year, 30 points per game and doesn't make an all-star game is completely ridiculous. You are an all-star if you can average 13 points in the best basketball league in the entire world. And Zach LaVine's putting up, 26, 27?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so for me, he's an all-star as well.
Yeah, I also had him as an all-star. I didn't really replace him, but in exchange for Sabonis. But yeah, he's averaging 27, 5 and 5. And yeah, they might suck, like the Bulls suck, but you can't base it on team standings.
That's what the
at this
playoffs are
point.
for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So okay, this might be I don't know. I had a heart pick in this, and y'all are gonna laugh probably. Colin Sexton. Okay, Colin Sexton. So. Okay, I don't know if he's gonna actually get voted in by the coaches, but personally for me,
He will not get voted in by the coaches.
No, why not?
Obviously he won't.
No, I don't know. I just like Colin Sexton, so I just put him in there. He's still playing he's still playing decent for second, third year, is it?
Yeah, he's got his 24 points, his couple boards.
Yeah, probably definitely not on
the game.
On the All-Star, but I just thought I'd put him in there because he's dope.
Yeah, he's a player that he's taken a big step, and you'd think a lot of times you think, oh, that guy's probably an all-star, but then you got to sit down and actually pick 12 players. You realize how talented this league has become. That's like he wasn't even an honorable mention for me. Someone that I do have, I hope you guys all have, is Trae Young of the Atlanta Hawks. One of the top assist guys. No way. Samuel Future did not have Trae Young.
What?
I know. I put
you
Westbrook
had
in
Colin
there.
Sexton.
No, I know.
Young.
Stop.
Oh my
I know.
goodness. Oh man.
Okay.
Well,
I put Westbrook in.
Me and Micah have Trae Young.
Yeah, you guys may have Trae Young, but I decided to go with Westbrook.
No. Before we go to Westbrook, we at least have to pay some homage to Trae Young. I mean, the guy's got almost 27 points a game. He's almost averaging 10 assists a game. I mean, the guy's practically averaging a double-double on a team that's sitting at 7th at 11 and 12. So arguably a couple games from now, they could be sitting at 5th, depending on how the Pacers and the Hornets do. And you're telling me you picked Colin Sexton.
Okay, yeah, I should have had Trae Young in there instead of Colin Sexton.
There we go.
For sure. Okay.
There's nothing that Sexton does that is better than Trae Young. He's only a little bit more efficient. That is it.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, at this point, are they really going to have an all-star
Sam,
game?
Did you say you had Russell Westbrook in your team?
Yeah, bro. This is another one. This is another one. Exactly.
Wrong.
I know, but this is another one that it's probably okay, whatever. I like Westbrook, and he's averaging almost a triple-double every game. Like when you have Bradley Beal putting up 35, you don't have to score as much, but you can still put up assists and get rebounds. And I don't know, just put Russell Westbrook in. Who else was your last guy?
Okay, well, I have one more guy, but I'll comment on Russell Westbrook. I mean, as a team that's currently sitting at 6 and 15, we were worried about giving the Boston Celtics 2 All-Stars, and we're going to give a team that's borderline lottery pick. They would be getting a top 3 pick at this moment right now. Give them 2 All-Stars. He's been terribly inefficient, just really bad. He struggled with injuries, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He's missed games. They won their first game of the season when he was out. After he finally didn't play, they finally picked up a win. So for me, he couldn't be an all-star. But the one person that I know you guys probably left out is Nikola Vucevic. He's been ridiculous this year. He's the only reason why the Magic have won any game. They're only at 9-15 right now, but with missing Jonathan Isaac and their point guard, he stepped up big. He had a 43 and 19 point night a couple nights ago, and before that game, he put 21 and 18 up. So he's rebounding the ball, he's scoring the ball, he's playmaking a little bit. For me, he's an all-star. He's another guy that's very slept on.
Yeah, he's obviously slept on for at least for me. I don't even.
Yeah,
give him the time of day.
Similar to Sabonis.
No, I mean, who gives the Magic the time of day, though?
Consider him. He's pretty slept on.
Yeah. Micah, who's your last player?
My last player that made the list, ones that we haven't discussed, I did put Jimmy Butler in. I just feel like he's going to get the nod. I mean, it's a hard one. I mean, I don't know. What are the Heat are sitting at 9-14. And it's not like Jimmy's putting up great stat line. He's averaging like 19, 6, and 6. But I just feel like his leadership on the court, his likability by the fans, and the fact that I do feel like that they're going to at least give Miami one player. I feel like Butler's going to be the guy they go to.
Not Bam?
Yeah, I'd even take him over Bam. I know Bam's probably more deserving of it, but I feel like Butler's going to get the nod.
All right.
So for me, the reason why I didn't give him, I had made this list a week ago, and Jimmy Butler had just came back from like a 9-game absence where he didn't play. So for me at that point in time, I probably couldn't give him the spot. Right now, he's came back. He's played his last 6 games. He's looked really nice, passing the ball, getting rebounds, like close to triple-double every game. So he's slowly chipping away. They're trying to get back in the playoffs. So if you have him an all-star, I totally respect that. He would be an all-star if he was healthy all season. But at the time of making this list, I just couldn't make an argument for him after missing so much time.
Yeah. That's okay. So we have what? We have like honorable mentions, right? But before we go to the honorable mentions, I think, okay, if I weren't having Colin Sexton, my team, or Westbrook, we got to give some shout out to Julius Randle on the Knicks, dude. The Knicks are sitting in the 9 spot right now, and he's playing like, I wouldn't say out of his mind, but he's playing like real solid basketball.
Yeah. The only problem for me is Julius Randle is I feel like he's playing an all-star level, but I also feel like it's just the rule he's been put in. They're letting him take every shot he wants. They're letting him be the point guard at a power forward position so he can get his assists too. It's great, but I just feel like for a guy that like Jaylen Brown or Zach LaVine that have not made an all-star team before, after years of excellence, giving Julius Randle the nod this year was just too hard for me. So he's definitely deserving of it, but I just feel like there was guys, they're so talented in the NBA that he just didn't quite make it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
he made my honorable mentions list.
Okay.
So basically just echoing what Aiden said.
So we moving on to the West, or do you guys got more honorable mentions? I mean, there's so many in the East. I feel.
I'll just shout out a couple guys really quick. Gordon Hayward got a big bag this offseason. He's been playing super good for Charlotte with those young boys over there. If we take a look at them right now, they are sitting in a playoff spot at 12-13. So shout out to Gordon Hayward leading that unit as a veteran. And then Ben Simmons, he's the type of guy that you think would be in there. I think he's an all-star talent. He's like a tremendous defender, but right now, kind of the system that he's playing in, they're using him more of a role player, which is totally okay. He's an all-star talent, but the role he's been in this year, I just don't think I can put him over anyone else on my list. But Ben Simmons, tough call, but I didn't have him on my list.
All right. Yeah, I put Malcolm Brogdon out there too. Just kind of
for sure.
Along with Sabonis. Yeah, for sure. All right, so we moving on to the West now.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Right,
you guys covered everything.
I'm assuming we all had LeBron James as our captain. Don't tell me you didn't.
Yes, sir.
Well, it's no secret I'm not a huge Lakers fan. I feel like I know he will get the nod as captain, but I gave my captain to someone else. I gave it to none other than the Joker, dude. Like, come on. Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets, 26 points per game, 11.7 rebounds, and 8 assists. Like, the guy's playing out of his mind. And I feel like he's more deserving of it than LeBron. Like, yeah, LeBron may be the face of the NBA, and I mean his leadership skills are uncomparable to any other player in the league. But I just feel like I don't know. I would love to see Jokic be a captain. I just personally would.
Okay,
Yeah.
where are the Nuggets at though right
That's what
now?
I was gonna bring up.
Okay.
The Nuggets are currently sitting at 12 and 11.
At
They're a
number 8
borderline
spot.
playoff team. Yeah.
Yeah, so
While the Lakers are
yeah.
currently 19 and 6, and LeBron at age 36 has went to overtime in back-to-back game and posted a triple-double. And the game before that, he played your captain in Jokic, and he gave them another triple-double in that game and went. See, they outscored him by 24 points in the second half.
Yeah,
So
he
for
finished with
Jokic,
27,
leading them
right?
to an 8 seed, he's been incredible, but he's the leader of that team, and the fact that they're only at an 8 seed right now, I'm giving it to LeBron James.
Yeah, for sure. That's yeah. Jokic good, but he's not the captain. You know what I mean?
And yeah, just to mention, the Nuggets are currently on a losing 3 streaks, while the Lakers have won 5 in a row. So,
Like I said, it's not realistic, but it would just be like if I could pick someone, if I could wish it were someone other than LeBron, that would be my pick.
Yeah, and that's the
he
whole
had
point of
50
this.
points 2 nights ago. So if you have him as your captain, you can't really argue that. He had 50 points, 46 a couple of nights ago. Like, he's been hooping.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so the other 4. Okay, so if you have LeBron in the starting or in a starter, right, Micah?
No, he's one of my reserves. I'm just kidding.
Okay,
yeah, of
okay.
course. He made my front court.
Okay, so the other 4.
I was going to say we're only going to have 2 co-hosts on this podcast after this one.
The other 4. Who you guys got for your guards in the West? Okay,
I'll
I'll
start.
start off.
I think it's pretty easy. I think it's Steph Curry and Damian Lillard. Steph Curry's just been crazy. He had a 50-point night a couple nights ago. It's Stephen Curry. Their team's not doing super well, but I mean, they're working out the kinks of not having Klay Thompson. So many new players got to learn a new system. And then Damian Lillard's one of these guys that he's a top 1 or 2 point guard. You can have the argument, is it Steph, is it Dame? But I put them in there over Luka Doncic, although Luka probably has better stats. Luka has led the Mavericks to a grand total of an 11-14 record for the 13th seed, while Dame, without CJ McCollum and Yusuf Nurkic, has led them to a 6th seed with a positive record, over 500, 12-10 at the 6th seed. So for me, it's got to be Damian Lillard and Stephen Curry.
Yeah, I had. Go ahead.
Yeah, I had Steph too. Yeah, and as well as Damian Lillard. So it's basically the same 3 there, or same 2 there.
If we were recording this podcast like a week or 2 ago, I would have had Doncic, but just simply because, like, looking up the records, it's very apparent that Dame is holding the team together, whereas Doncic is maybe keeping it from sinking, but it's not really going anywhere. Whereas Dame's like keeping them in the playoff contention, which honestly I would have never guessed. Like Portland is a good team, don't get me wrong, but without CJ and without Nurkic, I'm actually surprised that they're sitting at 12-10 right now. So yeah, I definitely got to give him a spot, and of course Stephen Curry made that list as well. I'm curious as to who else made it. Who was your guys' final front court dude? Because I'm assuming that Jokic and LeBron are the 2 in our front court. Who's that third guy for you guys?
Aiden. Yeah. Okay.
I think it's pretty easy. Kawhi Leonard, one of the best defenders in the league, leading the Clippers to 3rd in the West. Yeah, 17-8. It's Kawhi Leonard.
I contemplated putting Paul George in there too, as the starter, but I just decided to go with Kawhi. It's pretty simple to kind of like.
I mean, they're both playing better. Paul George's game, I would say, is probably more attractive. Like, he's like 50, 40, 90 almost right now. He's having like the bigger games, the more flashy games. But like we've seen what happens when the Clippers don't have Kawhi. Like, they literally were down by 50 to the Dallas Mavericks, who are currently like 13th in the West. Yeah. If Kawhi is on that court and Paul George is not, I promise you they're not down by 50 at halftime. Like, Kawhi Leonard's the leader, the heart of that team. Without them, they're a good team, but with Kawhi as the heart and soul, he's got to be over Paul George.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was who I had rounding out.
Yeah, we all got him in the reserve for sure, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I didn't start Luka, but I had Luka. Obviously, he's an all-star.
Yep.
He's not shooting the best. He's at what, 28% from the
So
three-point
bad.
three. It's
Oh,
not that good. But he's almost averaging a triple double, isn't it? Isn't he
yeah.
like somewhere around
That's
there?
what I almost find scary about it is he's shooting the ball so poorly and almost putting up a
Yeah.
30-point triple double.
Yeah. So he's locked in all-star on my book. Should be anybody's book, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who else do you guys
So
got?
yeah, I'll talk about another guard, a guy I contemplated putting on my starting lineup, but his stats just couldn't quite back it up for me. Was Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell has led the Utah Jazz to a 19-5 record. They're playing tonight, trying to get the first team with the 20th win of the season. So the Utah Jazz, they've changed their whole system to where they're just shooting the triple over and over and over. Jordan Clarkson's been great, potential 6-man of the year, but they've just looked so good. They won 11 games in a row at one point. They're back on a 4-game win streak after losing one. I wanted to put him in the starting lineup just to show respect, but Dame's got better stats and he's led an injured team into a playoff spot. So I gave it to Dame, but Donovan Mitchell is unreal this year and he's led this team to the best record in the NBA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So
also had Donovan Mitchell as well. Go ahead, Micah.
for obvious reasons. So we're talking about guards right now, and so I can't believe he has it. I can't believe he didn't make our starting list. But like I I feel like we missed a highly underrated player, and he's borderline like the GOAT. But like no one talks about Alex Caruso. Like why is it
Oh
he made
yeah,
that? Why is he
hate
made
Alex
this?
Caruso.
I know. Yeah, for sure.
How are you Lakers fans?
I
How are you
hate Alex
Lakers fans
Caruso.
saying
I'm not
on him?
gonna lie, bro.
You actually
Like,
hate
he's
Alex
solid.
Caruso?
Huh?
You actually hate him?
Dude, I mean, like, he's solid defensively and he has his nights, but I feel like he's one of those guys that he's been memed so much that he'll hit back-to-back threes and
And
like
people go crazy.
we'll make an appreciation post out of him. But if
Yeah.
Quinn Cook came into the game and scored back-to-back threes, no one would talk
No
about
one's
it.
gonna say anything.
So I
Yeah.
feel like we're looking for reasons to praise him, but we're also not holding him accountable when he shoots 0 for 5 with 3 turnovers. Like, if you're
in
going
all
to be playing 20
seriousness,
minutes a game, you can't score 0 points.
yeah. In all seriousness, it's a good thing
That's just my little
they put
spiel.
the Zaza rule in, because if they didn't, I feel like Caruso would have been in an All-Star game by now. And yet, obviously, he doesn't deserve it. I don't know. I thought we should talk about it just because it's funny that he's got to make the first podcast.
Dude, those Warriors fans are crazy.
Oh,
The Warriors
my
fans
word.
have Stephen
Andrew
Curry at number 1 in the backcourt. They have Wiggins at number 7 in the front court, which is just wild. And they have Klay Thompson, who's played 0 minutes this season, in a spot at number 10 in the backcourt. Those Warriors fans are crazy.
That's a little ludicrous.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like I guess that's
too
the
bad your
All-Star
team
game.
sucks.
And I mean, that's the All-Star game. People ban.
I hate the Warriors, man.
I do too. Okay.
Well, what do you think about it?
Yeah. How about
No,
Draymond
go
Green
ahead.
last night though? Hey?
Dude, what was he thinking?
Yeah, because he said he was trying to, like, when like you're down 3 and the team's gonna foul you, so they can't score that. You can't score a 3 to tie the game. So he saw the foul coming, but he shot it too early, so the guy decided not to foul. He said it was supposed to be a super smart play that turned into a super dumb play, but yeah, that was bad.
Oh, well.
But yeah.
Okay,
anyways,
so
back to our
who
reserves.
who else is on your guys' reserves on for the West? Micah. In all seriousness, instead of Alex Caruso.
yeah, that
I mean,
was
it's not much that worse than Colin Sexton, buddy, but yeah.
I know it isn't. I know.
Zion Williamson made the cut for me. I mean, his
All right.
stats aren't like
Okay.
superior, but I don't know. I feel like what are the Pelicans at right now? They're not sitting pretty. They're I can't. Let's see,
They're
10 and
12
12
right
at
now?
the 12th spot. Yeah, so I don't know. I have both him and Ingram making it. I feel like that's one too many players from a team that's not doing anything. But yeah, I have Zion Williamson. I feel like his popularity is just going to lead him to be voted in regardless. But his stats are still all-star worthy. I mean, he is averaging 24, 7.5, and 2. But yeah, I had to give him a nod. He's probably one of my last reserves, but I thought I'd just mention him just because we haven't talked about him yet.
Yeah, I'm not
But
gonna
yeah,
hate on you for that either, because I put Zion in because like
yeah,
I don't know. It's Zion. I like Zion. He's gonna make it the All-Star game. I hope he makes it to the
Yeah.
All-Star game. He's still
yeah,
playing like
Zion's
yeah.
real good.
Zion's such a
But
weird
Aiden's probably gonna
person.
disagree.
No,
A weird person.
I got Zion in my team. He's such a weird person. Like it's kind of like the LaMelo effect this year, where literally the only thing that Sports Center will post is LaMelo Ball. Like LaMelo Ball will inbound the ball, and Terry Rozier will hit a step back half quarter, but they'll be talking about LaMelo's inbound pass. He's the type of guy that's all Sports Center wants to talk to, and Zion Williamson was that guy last year, but no one
Mhm.
talks about him now, and they kind of almost act like he's overrated. But he's putting up like 24 points a night on the best efficiency ever to this point in the season. Like he's shooting ridiculous. So I have him as an all-star, but I don't even think he's the best player on his team. I have Brandon Ingram. Like he can pass the ball, he can score. Zion, you kind of need to isolate him in the post. You need shooters around him. Brandon Ingram's the type of guy you can put in any situation. He can actually like excel in it.
Yep.
He played well with the Lakers and everything, but now he's really shown how good of a player he is, and he's developed. I feel
Mhm.
bad giving a team that is currently 10 and 12 two all-stars, but for me, I felt like Zion's efficiency, like that was a reason for him to be in, and then Brandon Ingram is the leader of that team. So I gave him 2 all-star nods. I feel kind of bad about it, but it's my list,
Mhm.
not yours. So
What about you,
Yeah.
Samuel? Who is your next reserve?
After Zion, you said.
Yeah, after Zion. Yep.
Who was he? I had Devin Booker. Hey, he's okay. This is highly questionable. I know, but it's Devin
it's
Booker.
not that bad.
I mean,
No.
okay. So now that Chris Paul is here, on the Suns, he's got Devin Booker's a little more relaxed. You know what I mean? So he's
Yeah.
not putting up the numbers that he used to. Chris Paul's being more of a leader in the league, or not the league, on their team. So I had to put Devin Booker in there. He's putting up good numbers. What's he putting up? Devin Booker. Y'all know.
He's
23,
around 23 points per
23,
game, 23,
and then
4
like
and
what?
4, I believe.
Yeah, it's like 4 and 4. A few
So
rebounds,
yeah,
few assists.
his numbers aren't great, and that's the kind of the reason why I have Chris Paul, his teammate, ahead of him. His stats aren't as good, but he's the leader of that team. He's the reason why they have a playoff berth right
Wait,
now.
so you're saying you have you're saying Chris Paul's ahead of him in your mind, or did he make your
Yeah.
reserve list as well?
No, so Chris Paul made my reserves and Devin Booker made my
Okay,
honorable mentions just because
gotcha.
although Devin Booker's stats have gone down, it makes sense, right? Because he's playing with Chris Paul. But if you look at his
Mhm.
efficiency too, it's also dipped, which doesn't make sense because if you're Devin Booker on a team by yourself, shooting the ball all the time, it makes sense to have low efficiency. But now that you have other options on your team, your efficiency should increase. You have better looks. And
Yeah,
Chris Paul led his Thunder team to the playoffs while Devin Booker didn't last year. So I'd say that the reason why they're in this position is not because of Devin Booker's growth, but it's because of the addition of Chris Paul. So that's why he made it. But Devin Booker's a hooper. Like to have him in the All-Star game is not crazy.
yeah. So Micah, who's your other reserve?
Uh, so Booker didn't make my reserve list. I mean, he should. I kind of passed him over in favor of popularity, which, I mean, Devin Booker himself is fairly popular. But the next one who made my list was actually Christian Wood of the Houston Rockets. He's averaging 22 points a game in 10 boards. His assist numbers are low at like 1.3, but I feel like for a team that has no options seemingly, obviously with James Harden leaving and then just all the moves that they've had, I'm like, I've got to give him the spot. He's kind of holding down the fort. I mean, they're sitting at 11 and 12. They're not in playoff contention at the moment, but that could quickly change. So I had to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he definitely earned that spot and stepped up, seemingly out of nowhere too. I'd never even heard of the guy until this year.
Yeah.
So
But you
yeah,
have him
he
on your
got my
All-Star
next
team.
spot. Yeah, I have him on my reserves. Yeah.
Yeah. The Houston Rockets actually started playing really well, looking like a playoff team after James Harden got traded. They won 5 straight, but they've lost their last 2. And the reason for that being is that Christian Wood got injured. So that's probably the biggest reason why I didn't put him in is because I don't know if he's even going to be able to play in it. And then for me, it was like I had a toss up between Zion and Christian Wood. Zion's stats are a little better. I kind of want to give it to Christian Wood, but for a guy that's his first season, I also just want to give it to a guy that's proven it. So I don't have him in there. But one guy that we haven't mentioned yet, Anthony Davis. There's kind of like it was kind of a given, but I don't think we've even brought him up yet. He hasn't been great this year. He's kind of struggled with his identity. He hasn't been aggressive, averaging I think just like 22 points per game. He's got to step it up. He's got to shoot the ball better, but he's an all-star nonetheless. Probably defensive player of the year leader right now. But we haven't mentioned him, but he's definitely an all-star.
Yeah, he's definitely on my list. I like how you said he hasn't found his identity. Like, expound on that part.
Well, I mean, like for the Lakers, right? He's one of those guys that he could be he could be the best player in the league. He could play the center spot, dominate everyone, stretch the floor, but he's one of those guys that wants to play the power forward spot. So he takes on more agile guys that can kind of move more with him. And so then when he gets posted up and gets pushed out of the block, he doesn't want to be that guy that's just getting bullied by bigger guards all game. So then he kind of just defers. He gets the ball in the post up and then he throws it out to one of our guards who airball a shot with 3 seconds to go. So that's kind of the reason. And he just hasn't demanded the ball. Like there's times in the first half we're playing a Boston Celtics team, a Milwaukee Bucks team, and he shot the ball 3 times in the first half. I'm like, bro, your talent skill set could be the best in the NBA, but he just doesn't have the mindset. Like he doesn't think he's that guy. And I just want to see that from him. Like when he had that mentality in the playoffs, but he's kind of struggling with that. Maybe he's tired from the long playoff run, but just as of right now, he hasn't found himself, but
yeah, he's just got to be more tenacious. So
as this podcast episode kind of wraps up, like before we close, do you guys have any honorable mentions that we haven't already talked about?
CJ.
CJ. But I still got one more. How many did we mention already?
I think we mentioned 7. Yeah.
Okay, you mentioned. Okay, I don't know if you guys. DeMar DeRozan, I put him in there.
Right.
The Spurs at number 5 right now. He's putting up solid numbers and kind of just slept on again, kind of like Nikola Vucevic. But yeah, I think he should be an all-star this year.
Especially leading a team to 14-10.
Yeah, they're sitting pretty good right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they got a lot of young players. They're well coached, and he's just kind of the leader. He's expanded his game to be a playmaker. The modern NBA was like, you can't take mid-ranges, and he showed that you can take mid-ranges. He started to shoot the triple a little more, and he's playmaking. He's led them to 14-10, while a guy like Luka Doncic is 11-14. Like, we got to give someone on that team credit, and I think DeMar DeRozan's the right guy. He didn't make my list, but I like that he made someone's list here.
One, it's just it goes to show it all depends on what team you're on. I mean, he got all kinds of press when he was on the Toronto Raptors, and obviously their road to the championship a couple years back. And then on the Spurs, like at least for me personally, I hear very little about him. So it's like, and yet he's still putting up similar numbers, if not better. So I don't know. To me, I just find it interesting that it all depends on the team you're at. So like Vucevic at Orlando gets no press, but like guys like, I don't know, like Colin Sexton on the Cavs, it gets the kind of press that he gets, and it's like he's not as much of a game changer as a Vucevic or Sabonis or even DeRozan. So yeah, I think that rounds off the reserves pretty well. We mentioned CJ for obvious reasons. I mean, the guy has been playing out of his mind. I was actually really bummed that he got out with his hairline fracture in his left foot. Not only because I feel like he deserved it, but also because he was on my fantasy and it's killed our fantasy team as a result. But yeah, he's definitely got to get.
Y'all weren't doing anything with him anyway. Don't even worry.
Yeah, that's for sure though.
That's true. That's very true.
Your fantasy team is trash.
Yeah, because you're always offering us trades.
But yeah, CJ McCollum was.
Yo, our trades get vetoed, bro. All right, the trades get vetoed.
Yeah, all our trades get vetoed. If you're watching this, bro, stop vetoing my trades, man. But yeah, CJ McCollum was averaging 28 points per game with 4.8 threes. Like he was just tearing up the league. So sucks that he got injured. We hope that he gets back soon. But Just he would have been an all-star lock, but he got injured. John Morant was looking really good. He got injured for a while. But he missed the cut for me. The start of the season, he looked great. He kind of cooled off after the injury, but that rounds out my honorable mentions. If you guys have anyone else you want to talk about.
No, I don't have anyone else to mention. But I
Yeah.
mean, imagine
The
if they
only one-
had CJ right now. Like they're at 6th spot. They could be at like solid 5-4.
Dude, or Nurkic too, man.
Yeah. Don't sleep on Portland.
Yeah. I guess the one who I'll just briefly mention would be Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I mean, the Thunder are not doing anything. They're at 10-13 in the 14th spot, so they're just not doing a whole lot. But I just at least got to give him a little bit of credit because he's averaging 22 points a game with 6.3 assists. They're complete trash. Like there's just nothing going for him. Their options are very limited, and yet he's stepped up as a young guy on that team and has been delivering. I mean, I feel like he's the only reason that they've won 10 games. If it weren't for him,
the Lakers to OT yesterday.
That's a fact.
Yeah. I mean, and to do that against it, we've already talked about the greatness of the Lakers and how they're most likely probably going to do it again this year, even though I hate to admit it. But yeah, I just got to mention him. So that wraps up our list. I feel like we discussed that in full.
And again, these are all like personal opinions, but like based on stats. I mean, who knows? Like, who's gonna be in the All-Star? We know some people are definitely gonna be in there. Okay, let's take a bet though. Who are they gonna have an All-Star game? Kind of wrap these up. Are they gonna have an All-Star game? Yeah or no? No.
LeBron, when LeBron speaks out, the league listens, bro. That's not gonna happen.
I feel like it's not gonna happen, even though it's like a huge money grab. That's basically what they're doing it for.
That's the reason,
and that's why they're all so mad. So many of the big players like LeBron are also mad. I don't know. I don't think they're gonna have it if they. I don't know if the players give a protest.
I mean, if it happens, cool. But like one thing, they said they want to do the skills competition. Like, bro, we're gonna be doing the dunk contest like in an empty gym. Like, I literally cannot think about anything more awkward than having a dunk contest with no one in the stands.
Yeah,
like there would be limited capacity, but the dunk contest is a little sketchy, like regardless, and like it's kind of losing its hype some years. But with like limited fans, but it's like even the whole COVID protocols, like I just don't think it's a great idea. But it can
you have a guy like Aaron Gordon come in, does a crazy dunk, and you hear like scattered applause because there's all of like a couple hundred people or something.
And we better not let D Wade be a judge ever again.
No.
Oh man.
Well, we will see if that happens. And that wraps up the first episode of the Stepback podcast. If you all guys want to listen to it, check out our YouTube channel. We're going to upload it there. Give us a follow on Instagram and watch out for our sponsored videos on TikTok. All right, we'll see you guys. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for everyone who watched to the end or at all.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, see ya.
All right.